Welcome back to the channel. Who you're seeing here is a lady named Isilma Cornelius and her son OJ. There was a story that I did, a series on BBLs gone wrong, and there was a particular doctor by the name of Windell Boutthe, who was a surgeon in Atlanta, Georgia. She was known as the dancing doctor. I don't know if you remember that story, but she got into a lot of trouble. Well, Isilma Cornelius is one of her patients. And after going to Dr. Boutthe, her life, her family's life, her son's life was never the same. So Isilma Cornelius, back in 2016, was a nurse at DeKalb Medical Center. She was finishing up her PhD, and she was about to get married in a few weeks. So she decided to go to the spa to get some things done just so she could look her best. She was going to get a facial procedure and something else cosmetic done, but not really surgery. It is alleged that while she was there, somebody in the office spoke to her and was like, hey, for your special day, we could do this, we could, do that. And it was said that she agreed to get some liposuction and some other things done so she could look the best, getting ready for her wedding day. But with all that being said, something went horribly wrong. And the family, Mrs. Cornelius and her son, after that procedure that day, would never be the same. This is for fair use, for educational and commentary purposes. So she goes in to have this procedure done, and things go horribly wrong. Let's look at this news footage as to the 911 video so we can listen to what happened.
We have a patient that doesn't have a heart rate.
Is this person in cardiac arrest?
Yes.
And correct. What happened prior to this?
She was in surgery.
Cornelius' son OJ saw Dr. Boutthe in the ER.
The doctor really made it seem as if she was gonna be okay. She just made it seem like it would be fine.
Isilma Cornelius isn't fine. She never got married. Permanent brain damage has left her in need of constant care. A recent settlement is confidential, but part of Dr. Boutte's deposition speaks volumes.
Are you aware that her life care plan is in excess of $13 million for the care that she's going to require in the future?
No.
Boutte also testified Cornelius got no refund and, in fact, got a bargain.
Until now, I really wasn't even thinking about what she paid or what she didn't pay, because I did $20,000 worth of work for $11,000.
Attorney.
Wow. Can you imagine? So what ends up happening is this doctor, you could hear what she just said. She basically said, I wasn't thinking about the money. She never got a refund. She was like, basically, I gave her $20,000 for $20,000 worth of work for $11,000. So what happens is Isilma goes into cardiac arrest while Dr. Boutte is operating on her. And you heard the 911 call. She goes into cardiac arrest, and they had to call 911. A series of unfortunate events occurred, and well, Miss Cornelius ends up with permanent brain damage, never finishing her PhD, never ever going back to work as a nurse, and never ever getting married. This is a tragic story, and it's a story that we need to talk about. So I'm working my way back, and this is going to be a multiple part series. Woman left brain damage after cosmetic surgery. So let's read this. Let's read this story. With her wedding just 2 months away, Isilma Cornelius arrived at the Lilburn office of Dr. Windell Boutte to prepare for her special day. The 54-year-old bride-to-be came to the doctor's full-service medical spa and cosmetic surgery center for Botox and another anti-wrinkle treatment. So she was getting Botox and anti-wrinkle treatment, nothing where she has to go under anesthesia. She obviously looks like had been there before, But while there, the staff recommended cosmetic surgery that could give her a flat stomach before she married. Cornelius agreed to the surgical makeover by Boutte, whose websites promoted her as nationally and internationally known and a doctor to the stars. So this is a picture of Isilma, who was beautiful at her 50th birthday party. At 54, she was preparing for her wedding, and I totally understand that, but ended up permanently brain damaged. Unfortunately, Isilma Cornelius never got her perfected body. She never got to get married either. She never performed another day as a registered nurse. She never got a chance to, be with her son at home again. After 8 hours of surgery in Boutte's medical office, guys, 8 hours. That's a long time to be under anesthesia. Cornelius's heart stopped and a chaotic scene developed. Now, from my research, it has shown that there were no life-saving, as far as like crash carts or anything there in the office. She was not put under general anesthesia. She was put under for 8 whole hours with a cocktail of medications to keep her unconscious during the surgery, linked with propofol. And we all know, those of us who are nurses, you need to be able to monitor the patient adequately, especially with resuscitation type equipment during a surgery like that, especially with all of those medications and for the amount of time she was under anesthesia, and also for her age. The office wasn't equipped to handle the emergency and had to call 911. Paramedics got the patient's heart going, but getting her to the ambulance and to the hospital was another ordeal, and it was delayed. Worried about possible infection from open incisions, Boutte and an employee sutured Cornelius's skin, and then, because the stretcher wouldn't fit in the elevator, paramedics had to carry it down the stairs. And we know time is brain. We know time is of an essence when you're talking about getting oxygen to tissue, especially your brain. So there was delays, and it resulted in permanent brain damage. Cornelius made it to the hospital, but her injuries were catastrophic. Permanent brain damage caused by lack of oxygen left Cornelius unable to do almost anything for herself. My goodness gracious. So this woman here looked like this at her 50th birthday party, beautiful. She went to get some Botox, just to look good for her wedding, which makes sense. They requested, suggested additional surgery. She agreed and never came out of it. So this story, guys, is a story that is so, the patients are what we don't always see. We don't always get a chance to see who the patient was. And when there's malpractice and something as catastrophic as this, it affected her son too, and I am almost sure that in February of 2016, the clock stopped. Their whole life stopped at that time. Her son, OJ, was working at the courts. He was just started going to college at the end of 2015. So there was a young man who graduated high school, who was working out, and all of a sudden, his life just stops. It's halted. And though she never got married, he's now the one to take care of his mother's affairs, a young man in his 20s. This was devastating. This is what it looks like. And I want to highlight this story because it's really, really important of how people's lives are absolutely affected and thrown off course And, we saw the pictures of her dancing and doing all sorts of things, but we never hear the behind the scenes stories of how the negligence and malpractice of a doctor, or whomever it is, but in this case it's Dr. Windell Boutte, how it affected and impacted Isilma Cornelius's life and her son's life and the rest of her family and her friends and colleagues. This woman was on her way to getting a PhD. She worked as a registered nurse, and she was getting ready to get married. And none of those things came to fruition. So guys, this is part one of this story that I'm speaking about Dr. Windell Boutte, because I think those people, especially Miss Cornelius, not that there weren't many other people who might have been affected. This is the one that hit home for me, not only because she has children, the time when this happened. I remember this time in 2016. Her son was about the age of my son, being in his 20s, just starting college in 2015, and then your world stops. And I'm sure she was the breadwinner. She was working and probably assisting her son while he's in school. He just started working. This is a very, very tragic story. So guys, I want you guys to like, share, and subscribe. And I wanted to continue on with this story in a couple of parts, because there was some information that I found out just in doing my research. So guys, you won't believe, like I said, she's 54, going for her wedding, everything going for her. And tragically, her life as she knew it would never, ever be the same. So guys, like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell. And then that way, on the next episode of this series, you'll be notified of all my uploads. All right, guys, thank you so much for your support. All right, peace. And I'm out.